Volodymyr Zelenskyy arriving in London for talks with European leaders after his fiery clash with the US President in the White House. Keir Giles is a Russia analyst and author of Who Will Defend Europe, and he joins us now. Very good morning to you. Thanks for joining us. Now, we saw a very different welcome for Volodymyr Zelenskyy in London, embraced by Keir Starmer. It was certainly a very different scene to what we saw yesterday. Is it enough to distract attention from that blow that Ukraine received from the US?
Well, of course, it's not just Keir Starmer that has been responding in this way. From right after that Oval Office meeting with all its drama, we heard the messages of support coming in from leaders across Europe, some of them far more emphatic than what Keir Starmer has said. And yes, it's yet another shock to European leaders, making them realize that the time to actually take responsibility for their own future is now, and they cannot rely on the security blanket of the United States in the way that they have done for so many decades. So this summit tomorrow is crucial, but it's not the only diplomatic activity that's been going on. There's been a flurry of meetings, a flurry of get-togethers between European leaders trying to figure out just what exactly to do.
Can Europe do enough to fill the gap left by the US, though?
Well, that's the enormous question that is facing European leaders, particularly in terms of military assistance, because let's not forget, Europe has been providing the bulk of what's been supporting Ukraine in terms of functioning as a state, the economic support, the humanitarian aid, but it's the military defense assistance that will actually leave the big gap. Partly, of course, because so many European militaries are dependent on US-supplied weapon systems and US support to make them work. And the big question that has to be running through a lot of European capitals now is, will we actually be able to use our military power if we not only don't have US support, but possibly actually active US opposition to us trying to use them?
Some analysts say that what we saw yesterday with Trump and Zelenskyy was an even bigger win for Vladimir Putin than anything that has happened on the military field. Is that the case?
Absolutely right. They must be running out of champagne in the Kremlin by now, because it's been clear for a long time that the war on Ukraine is not going to be decided on the front line, and possibly not even in Ukraine at all. It depends so much on the coalitions that are backing each side. The United States was at the head of a coalition backing Ukraine. Russia has its supporters, China, Iran, North Korea. The big difference, of course, is that Russia's supporters have provided what Russia needs when it needs it, and are showing no signs of pulling the rug from under them. Whereas now the bottom has been blown out of that coalition supporting Ukraine, and that's why Europe is scrambling to see how it can make up the difference.
Because the French president has said there is an aggressor, it's Russia. There is a victim, it's clearly Ukraine. Why can't the US see that?
Well, there have been very thick books written about why exactly it is that Donald Trump is so determined to push through Russia's preferred policy outcomes, not just for Europe, but also for the United States as well. The speculation runs, of course, over blackmail, over financial entanglements, or possibly just that his ideological sympathies are with Putin, not with the United States. And Russia has been able to exploit that, as it has with so many other individuals around the world, simply by playing on his personality defects. But the bottom line is, for whatever reason it may be, there is nothing that Donald Trump would be doing differently if he were working as a conscious agent for Moscow doing Vladimir Putin's bidding.
He really has upended diplomatic relations, traditional diplomatic relations. Why do you think that is? Is it because he has promised to be America first and now he's putting America first?
Certainly, that's the rationale that's coming through for a lot of the drama that we have seen, but it doesn't really add up. You also need to look at the ways in which the Trump-Musk presidency now is not only destroying the functionality of the federal government at home and destroying all of the ways in which the United States government actually can govern, but also hacking away at the United States' levers of power abroad. Not just that international network of alliances and partnerships that has kept the United States safe and prosperous, but also actually now starting to cut back on the United States' power in terms of defense forces. We see the orders now going out to America's cyber forces to cease their offensive planning against Russia. We've seen the taking down of the United States' defenses against Russian disinformation online previously. They are all ways in which US power is being curtailed in order that the United States can't stand as an obstacle to what Russia wants.
Okay, Keir Giles, Russia expert, thank you very much for your insight into what's been an extraordinary couple of days.